Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into the Viura grape.
Mm-hmm.
It's a major white grape, mostly found in Spain. You think Rioja, you think Catalonia,
Absolutely. Key regions for it.
and you've gathered some great sources covering, well, pretty much everything. Its origins, history, how the terroir shapes it,
Yeah, the land, the climate, it all plays a part.
how it's grown, made into wine, the different styles you get, what it tastes and smells like.
Goût pairings, too, which is always fun.
Right. And its role in those Spanish wine regions, the DOs, and even a look at its future.
It's quite a comprehensive picture.
So our mission today is to unpack all of that and pull out the most, fascinating bits for you.
Sounds great. It's a grape with a really interesting story, and it expresses itself so differently depending on, well, where it is and what the winemaker does.
It really seems like a cornerstone of Spanish wine.
It is, and understanding it really deepens your appreciation for wines from places like Rioja, like Catalonia.
Okay, let's start at the beginning then. Origins in history. It's definitely Spanish, right?
Oh, yes, definitively Spanish. The evidence strongly suggests Aragon or maybe Catalonia as its birthplace.
But there's that other name, the really important one people need to know.
Crucial point, it's also very widely known as Macabeo.
Macabeo, okay.
That's what you'll mostly see it called in Catalonia, and some other regions too. So a Macabeo from Catalonia is the same grape as a Viura from Rioja.
Good to know. Two names, same grape, like Syrah and Shiraz.
Exactly like that. Just depends where you are.
Historically, it seemed it was valued because it was just reliable, produced decent, balanced white wines consistently.
Precisely. It was dependable, always gave you something fresh, approachable, but that reliability, that versatility, it actually allowed it to play some really key roles.
Like in sparkling wine. I remember reading something about Cava.
Yes, absolutely fundamental to Cava. It's naturally high acidity, those sort of subtle fruit and floral notes,
Right.
and how well it handles that second fermentation in the bottle. That made it perfect. It's one of the main three grapes in traditional Cava.
I always think of the other two first. Xarello and Perlada. That's really interesting about Macabeo's role.
It provides the backbone, often.
And in Rioja, it actually became the dominant white grape. Even pushed others aside back in the late 19th, early 20th century.
It did. Several reasons for that, but a big one was its resistance to oxidation.
Ah, oxidation, so it wouldn't spoil easily.
Well, it meant producers could make white wines that could actually age, develop complexity, like they were already doing with their famous reds.
Okay, so they wanted age-worthy whites, and Viura fit the bill.
Exactly. It allowed for winemaking with a bit more oxygen exposure, which could add complexity without the rind falling apart.
That makes a lot of sense. And it was also suited to oak aging, wasn't it? Which was
Right.
already a big thing for Rioja Reds.
Precisely. So they took that tradition, applied it to Viura, and created this really unique style of aged, oaked white Rioja.
A signature style for the region.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sets it apart. And just looping back to Cava quickly, Macabeo was there right from the start, late 19th century Catalonia, foundational.
It wasn't an afterthought.
Not at all. Its balance was ideal for that second fermentation process.
So this one grape plays a massive role in two iconic but very different Spanish wine styles. Still whites in Rioja, sparkly in Cava.
It's incredibly versatile.
And even after phylloxera, that devastating pest, they replanted it. That says a lot.
It really does.
Yeah.
It underlines how important Viura or Macabeo was and still is economically and qualitatively. Its resilience is key.
Okay, strong history. Two main names. Let's talk terroir, where it's grown. You mentioned Rioja, Catalonia. Also Rueda, Aragon, Navarra, Valencia. It gets around.
It does, but Rioja and Catalonia really show the contrast well.
So Rioja, more Atlantic climate influence, different soils.
Generally, yes. Atlantic influence means it's often a bit cooler, more moderate, and the soils vary. Clay limestone is common, some alluvial near rivers, even some iron-rich clays.
And that results in Viura with,
Typically, that vibrant acidity we mentioned, more delicate aromas, think white fruits like apple, pear, maybe some subtle floral notes.
and with age, especially with oak.
Then you start getting dried fruit, maybe some spice, nutty notes, more complexity develops.
That sounds like the classic white Rioja profile.
Yeah.
Elegant, complex. Note, shift to Catalonia, Macabeo territory, Mediterranean climate, closer to the sea.
Big difference. Warmer climate, that Mediterranean sun, it generally leads to riper grapes.
Meaning,
More exuberant fruit. Think peach, maybe melon. The floral notes can be more intense too. And of course, it's the heartland for Cava.
so warmer equals riper fruit,
Yeah.
maybe slightly lower acidity sometimes. Cooler means more acidity, delicate fruit.
That's a pretty good summary. Climate is a huge driver. Cooler Atlantic versus warmer Mediterranean.
And the soils matter too, you said. Calcareous, clay limestone.
Those seem ideal. Good drainage, but they hold a bit of water and often give a sense of minerality to the wine. Sandy soils might give lighter, more aromatic wines. Clay can add body.
It's amazing how the same grape changes so much. Rioja's slow ripening, potential for age.
Yeah.
Catalonia's faster ripening, more upfront fruit.
Yeah, the terroir is really speaking through the grape. It shapes everything. Acidity, aromas, structure. It's not just background noise, it's fundamental.
Fascinating. Okay, we know where. Now, how is it grown? The viticulture. The vine itself sounds distinctive.
It is. The bunches are medium to large, often conical or pyramid-shaped, usually quite compact.
Tightly packed grapes.
Yeah. The berries themselves are medium, round, greenish-yellow when ripe. Skin isn't too thick, and again, that resistance to oxidation is noticeable even in the berry itself.
And it ripens mid to late season. That helps keep the acidity up, even in warmer spots.
Exactly. Critical for sparkling wine, but also for balanced still wines. It lets the flavors develop without the acidity dropping out too much.
And managing the vines. Pruning, it sounds adaptable.
It is quite adaptable. You see it grown in different ways. Traditional bush vines called vaso in Spanish.
Like little individual bushes?
Right. That gives them natural shade, which can be good in hot areas, but it's harder to mechanize and maybe a bit more disease risk sometimes because there's less airflow.
Okay. What else?
Then you have more modern systems, like cordon spur or guo, where the vines are trained along wires.
Easier to manage.
Generally, yes. Cordon spur gives good control over vigor, but needs careful pruning. Guo can allow for higher production, but again, needs managing well to keep quality up.
So the grower chooses based on their goals, the site.
Exactly. It's about balancing yield and quality. And speaking of yield, controlling how much fruit the vine produces is absolutely vital.
Less is more, usually.
Generally, yeah. Lower yields tend to mean more concentrated flavors in the grapes, so growers use pruning, sometimes green harvesting, removing some bunches early on to focus the vine's energy.
Makes sense. And other techniques, like choosing specific vine variations, clonal selection.
Yes, that's important. Selecting clones that maybe handle drought better or ripen perfectly in that specific spot. Also, canopy management, trimming leaves for the right amount of sun and air.
And irrigation in dry Spain must be key.
Often crucial, yes. Careful water management. Plus soil management, keeping the soil healthy. It's all part of optimizing quality.
It's a real balancing act in the vineyard.
Definitely. Trying to get the best possible expression of the grape from that particular place.
Right, grapes are picked. Perfect condition. Now, into the winery. Winemaking. How do you turn Viura grapes into wine? Starts typically, right? Destemming, crushing, pressing.
Pretty standard white wine process there. Destemming gets rid of the stems, which can add bitterness. Then gentle crushing to break the skins and release the juice.
Gentle is the key word.
Very much so. Same with pressing. You want to avoid extracting harsh tannins from seeds or skins. Keep it clean, fresh. The free-run juice, the stuff that comes out before pressing, often seen as the highest quality.
Purest juice. Okay, then fermentation. Sugar turns to alcohol. Lots done in stainless steel.
A lot, yes, especially for those fresh young styles. Steel helps preserve those primary fruit aromas we talked about, and temperature control is key.
Why temperature?
Cooler temps, say 15, 18 Celsius, really help keep those delicate fruity and floral notes. A bit warmer, maybe 1822C, can sometimes build a bit more texture, maybe complexity.
And then there's oak fermentation.
Right. Some Viura, particularly in Rioja, gets fermented right in oak barrels. Adds another dimension: spice, vanilla notes, texture.
And after fermentation, sometimes another one, malolactic.
Sometimes, yes. Malolactic fermentation converts the sharper malic acid to softer lactic acid. Can soften the wine's acidity, add a bit of roundness or buttery character. Depends on the style the winemaker wants.
Then aging. Stainless steel again for freshness.
Exactly. Keeps it bright and fruity.
Or oak barrels for complexity.
Yes, adding those toast, vanilla, spice notes plus structure.
And aging on the lees. What's that?
Lees are the dead yeast cells left after fermentation. Aging the wine on them, sur lie aging, can add body, a creamier texture, and subtle bready or nutty aromas.
Lots of choices for the winemaker.
Huge impact on the final wine.
Which leads to the different styles. First, the young, fresh ones.
Yeah, typically unoaked, all about primary fruit, apple, citrus, floral notes, vibrant acidity, great aperitifs, easy drinking.
Then the age-worthy whites, the classic Rioja.
Often fermented or aged in oak. They develop complexity over time. Dried fruit, honey, spice, maybe those nutty oxidative notes in the very traditional styles. Good structure. Can age for years, decades even.
Built to last, and barrel fermented is a specific style within that.
Often is, yeah. Again, common in Rioja. Fermenting in the barrel, maybe stirring the lees batonnage for extra richness and texture, creates really structured, complex wines.
And we can't forget Cava, Macabeo's big sparkling roll.
Absolutely. It brings freshness, that balanced acidity, delicate fruit, and floral notes to the blend.
And the bubbles.
Come from the second fermentation in the bottle, the traditional method. That also adds complexity over time. Those yeast, brioche, toasty notes develop as it ages on its lees in the bottle.
So versatile. Even some simple, dry, neutral whites are made too.
Yeah, sometimes just clean, straightforward, easy drinking whites. It shows the grape's adaptability.
It really seems the winemaker's decisions, skin contact, temperature, oak, lees, they shape everything.
Profoundly. Every step influences the final taste, smell, and feel of the wine.
Okay, let's talk about that final result, the sensory experience. What do these wines actually smell and taste like? Young Viura first.
You're generally looking for those fresh aromas. White fruits, crisp apple, maybe pear, some citrus, lemon zest perhaps, subtle white flowers, bright and clean.
Inviting. And with age, those complex Riojas.
The profile shifts. You might get dried apricot, maybe quince, notes of honey, beeswax, almonds. If there's oak, you'll pick up spice, vanilla, maybe some toast or smoke. Sometimes that slight oxidative, nutty character in traditional styles.
Layers of aroma. And on the palate, taste and feel.
You'll usually find that refreshing acidity is still there even in aged wines. The flavors tend to follow the nose. Body can range from light in the young ones to pretty full-bodied in the age or barrel-fermented styles.
And texture?
Can evolve, too. Crisp and zesty when young, maybe becoming rounder, creamier, more velvety with age, oak or lees contact.
It helps to think about primary, secondary, tertiary aromas.
Yeah, it's a useful framework. Primary is from the grape itself, fruit, floral. Secondary from fermentation, maybe some yeasty notes. Tertiary from aging the dried fruit, oak notes, oxidative hints.
And terroir comes back into play here too, right? Cooler climates, higher acidity, delicate aromas.
Exactly. Warmer climates, riper fruit aromas, maybe a bit less piercing acidity. Soil type can influence minerality, the structure you feel.
So, quick recap by style. Young whites.
Pale color, vibrant white fruit citrus aromas, dry, refreshing, light to medium body.
Age-worthy whites.
Rioja, more golden color, complex aromas, dried fruit, honey, spice, maybe nuts dry, balanced acidity, medium to full body, long finish.
Barrel fermented.
Often richer aromas, ripe fruit mixed with oak notes like toast and vanilla, good acidity, medium to full body, often a creamy texture.
In Cava.
Aromas of apple, citrus, maybe floral notes, plus those yeast brioche notes if it's aged. Lively acidity, fine bubbles, celebratory.
And serving them right matters. Temperature, glass, maybe even decanting the old ones.
Absolutely. Serving a young Viura too warm dulls the freshness. Serving an old white Rioja too cold hides its complexity. The right glass helps concentrate aromas. And yes, some older whites can benefit from decanting, just like reds.
Little details, big difference. Okay, the fun part, food pairings. What do we eat with these different Viuras? Young, fresh ones first.
Perfect with light fare. Think seafood, grilled prawns, oysters, simple grilled whitefish, salads with vinaigrette. Light cheeses like goat cheese. The acidity cuts through richness and complements freshness.
Makes sense. What about the complex, aged white Riojas?
They need something with a bit more substance. Roasted chicken or pork, flavorful rice dishes, maybe a mushroom risotto or even a lighter paella, aged cheeses like manchego, some richer fish preparations, maybe baked cod.
The wine's complexity matches the food's intensity.
Exactly. It can stand up to more flavor.
And the barrel fermented ones, with that richer texture.
Those work beautifully with richer fish like sea bass or turbo, especially with creamy sauces. Roast poultry with buttery, herby flavors. Creamy pastas or risottos. Medium-aged cheeses, too.
Sounds delicious. And Cava, the all-rounder.
So versatile. Obviously great as an aperitif. Fantastic with tapas olives, almonds, cured meats, fried calamari. Works with sushi, lighter fish dishes, even some not-too-sweet fruit desserts.
Its acidity and bubbles make it very food-friendly.
Cleanses the palate, lifts flavors. It really is about matching the wine's acidity and body to the dish.
Great tips. Now, let's talk about where these wines fit in the Spanish wine map. The denominations of origin, the DOs, we've hit the main ones, Rioja, Cava, Rueda.
Those are definitely the big three for Viura Macabeo. In Rioja, that's a Damaca, the top-tier Viura must be at least 51% of white blends. You get the full spectrum, from young Joven wines up to Grand Reserva whites aged for years.
And Rioja is really known for those age-worthy whites, famous producers.
Names like Lopez de Heredia, Viña Tondonia, Marqués and Murrieta, Bodegas Muga, real benchmarks for traditional, high-quality aged white Rioja.
Legends. Okay, Cava, that's different, not just one region.
Right, it covers several areas, but Catalonia is the heartland. Macabeo is key, blended usually with Xarel·lo and Peralada, traditional method sparkling. Different aging levels. Cava, Reserva, Gran Reserva, and the top Cava de Paraje Calificado from single vineyards.
Quality focus there, too. Producers to look for.
Gramona, Recaredo are two fantastic examples known for really complex, long-aged cavas, true artisan producers.
Excellent. And Rueda that's mostly Verdejo country, isn't it?
It is. Verdejo's the star. But Viura plays a role. It adds acidity and fruit in blends. You can also find varietal Rueda Viura, which needs to be at least 85% Viura. These are usually fresh, aromatic, meant for drinking young.
So it adds something to the blend there. Any key Rueda names?
Well, Marqués de Riscal, who we know from Rioja, makes wine there too. Bodegas Naya is another respected name. Shows how producers operate across regions.
Interesting. And the market. People are buying aged white Rioja.
Definitely. There's a strong niche for those top-quality, unique aged whites. They have a following among serious wine lovers.
And Cava's market.
Huge. Global recognition. It competes in the broad sparkling wine market, offering great value and quality at various price points.
And the fresher Viura styles. Growing interest.
Seems to be, yeah. People are exploring Spanish whites beyond the usual suspects, and interest in Viura from other regions is growing too. It has potential.
So, Viura's got a solid footing in several key areas. Looking ahead now, the future. What challenges does Viura face?
Well, climate change is a big one, like for everyone. Rising temperatures, heat waves, unpredictable rain that affects ripening, acidity, everything.
Harder to get that balance right.
Exactly. Plus, there's huge global competition from Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot Grigio, lots of popular white grapes out there.
So Viura needs to stand out.
Yeah, and maybe communicate its unique qualities even better. What makes it special? Why choose Viura?
Makes sense. And sustainability must be a big focus for the future.
Absolutely crucial for the environment for long-term viability. Things like water management, soil health, encouraging biodiversity, reducing chemical use.
Organic biodynamic farming.
Gaining momentum, definitely. And consumers are increasingly looking for wines made sustainably. It's becoming a real selling point.
And research and development. Innovation.
Also vital. Things like finding Viura clones better suited to warmer climates, researching rootstocks, using precision viticulture technology to manage vineyards more effectively.
And in the winery.
Exploring ways to fine-tune winemaking, better oxidation control, optimizing oak use, understanding lees aging more, maybe even exploring different styles, like skin contact whites or sweet late harvest Viura. Always innovating.
So despite challenges, the future looks hopeful. Versatility is its strength.
I think so. That versatility is key.
Yeah.
Aged white Rioja has its dedicated market. There's potential for fresh Viura in Spain and internationally. And the trend towards indigenous, unique grapes definitely helps.
But communication is key.
Absolutely. Telling the story of its quality, its adaptability, its connection to Spanish terroir, that's crucial for its continued success.
Okay, let's wrap up this deep dive. What are the main things you, listening, should take away about Viura?
I think the main thing is that Viura, or Macabeo, is this incredibly versatile Spanish white grape. It has a deep history, especially in places like Rioja and Catalonia.
Right, and it really changes depending on the terroir, the climate, the soil.
Totally, from those elegant, age-worthy Rioja whites to the bright, bubbly Cavas from Catalonia. It's amazing how different they can be.
And winemakers are always playing with it, finding new expressions while respecting the traditions.
Exactly. It's a grape with both history and a future.
Which leads to a final thought. Given how resilient and adaptable Viura is, and how people are looking for unique, terroir-driven wines, what else might we see from it?
Ooh, interesting question.
Could it pop up in unexpected places?
Yeah.
Or be used in totally new ways with cutting-edge techniques?
It's definitely possible. Maybe new regions will find it suits their changing climate. Maybe more exploration of those alternative styles like skin contact.
It feels like its story isn't finished yet.
Not at all. The next chapter is still being written. It's a grape to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. And if anything we talked about today sparked your interest, Maybe the specifics of Rioja terroir, how Cava is made,
Sure.
or those fascinating old white Riojas.
And then definitely explore further. There's a whole world of Viura wines out there just waiting for you to discover them.
Go find a bottle. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.